Hello, my friends, and welcome back. Thank you for being with me again today. The Western corporate mass media and Western politicians tell us that Russia is actually a dictatorship, and the facade of democracy is just real. So that puts Vladimir Putin in a position of a dictator. Um, Doing his thing behind the facade that there are elections, and in fact, he is the all-powerful leader of Russia. And according to these sources, anything that moves in Russia is first approved by Putin, more than in Stalin's times. So Putin dictates how the wind blows, where the birds are allowed to fly, and how the dogs poop, left or right. So, following the same logic and the same truth that the mass media and the politicians in Western countries tell us, and we have to believe them, especially the American and the British intelligence community, because they have a 100% consistency rate, truth consistency rate, correct? Um, yeah. Then I just stumbled over an article that actually pinpoints a possible successor for Putin. Now, in this kind of countries like Russia, that we are asked to believe, like dictatorships, the power is taken by violent actions, and that could be through um, organized slash, mass demonstrations and protests, which they're called spontaneous, with the help of certain agitators and cells from different areas. You know what I mean by cells, internal cells or from abroad. And there are some players, internal players and the external players, who shake hands and say, it's time. Now, when you look at the internal players, possibly, usually they're from two areas. One is the intelligence community, which you have, let's say, a director of the secret police, or the repressive apparatus, and like you would have here, I don't know, an CIA or an FBI, or the military, like a junta in South America, Latin America, and so on. Now, there are some politicians who are pushed forward, like Guaido in Venezuela. But Guaido, without army and without this, he can't do anything. So he needs money. With money, you buy people that have guns. And the people who have guns will protect you against the other people who used to have the same guns. So in this case, let's go and read this article about I would think, possible successor of Putin, in case Putin is pushed aside by this guy or any other traitor. I say traitor because you challenge a status quo of a country which is considered illegitimate. So Putin is not in power illegitimate. This guy, if he usurps the power of Putin, the elected official president, then that's an illegal thing. He's a traitor working against the state. So, and it's curious that this article just popped up. So I don't know. It's not a positive article towards this guy though, but let's go. The article comes from the Conversation, Yahoo, from today, June 7th, 2022. And this is from Suzanne Sternhal, which Suzanne Sternhal sounds a certain kind of, lecturer in post-Soviet government and politics, Texas State University. Okay, so she must know what she's talking about. So she's going to give us this evil guy biography and all that. So this is the title. As one of Vladimir Putin's closest advisors on Ukraine, Nikolai Patrushev spreads disinformation and outlandish conspiracy theories. So remember the name, Nikolai Patrushev. Now, let's see who this guy is. Nikolai Patrushev is one of Russian President Vladimir Putin's closest advisors and wields considerable influence on government policy as the head of the powerful Security Council of Russia. The council is where listen to this, the council is where Russia's security policy is formulated, and it is the center where intelligence from Russian sources and networks from abroad are received. I thought that Putin does everything. I'm according to the mass media here, he's not having advisors. He's making all the decisions himself, like the other guy in 1930s and 1940s. He's not having, he's all powerful. He's, what do you mean? All the security policies formulated. So that means these guys are allowed to think about certain things and then give to Putin. And Putin is going to make a decision based on whatever truth or lie he was fed. And then he says that this guy has a considerable influence on government policy. How could he? Since Putin is the guy who, he's like number one, number two is nobody, number three, nobody, number 10th, Lavrov and Patrushev and all those bottom feeder, according to the mass media. So this kind of says that Russia has a functional apparatus. You can say any dictatorship has it. Well, let's move on and see here. Patrushev is the one who interprets that intelligence. So he formulates intelligence for Putin. Patrushev often gives interviews to state-owned media about the conspiratorial views of the West, what the Kremlin describes as Russia's special military operation in Ukraine. There is nothing to counter his disinformation, as all independent media in Russia has been silent. Really? Okay. I just posted a video yesterday saying that CNN is still functioning in Russia, NPR is still functioning in Russia. There are some Wall Street journalists functioning in Russia. Are those Russian mass media? So I don't know what this is talking about, but nevertheless, she must know what she's talking about. She's an expert, right? This should be worrisome for US and other Western allies. As an academic who tracks Putin, that's her, and his inner circle, it is apparent to me that Patrushev's close relationship with Putin, which began more than 50 years ago, has given him a good deal of influence over the present. Could be. Both deplore the end of the Soviet Union, and both share a deep distrust of the West that is fueled by nonsensical conspiracy theories. Now, this woman, she's a lecturer. So she's, in my opinion, so far makes a few mistakes. They deplore the end of the Soviet Union, not because of the Union. If you listen to what Putin said, not what these guys interpret of the mass media, he said that a lot of damage was created to the societies, the countries, the nations that were part of Soviet Union, not the empire, Soviet Union, whatever. Just read to that interview where he said it. He said like 2 or 3 times because he was asked, and he said the same thing over and over. It's not that, he said, that was a tragedy for the people when that collapsed. That's what he meant. But nevertheless, just listen to his interviews. They're still there on YouTube. And then nonsensical conspiracy theories. Really? What's nonsensical? The fact that NATO moved from Berlin to its border almost, to Romania, to Poland, and now the Ukraine. Is that nonsensical? After they said they will not? Really? I mean, what is she woman talking about? Should be fired right now. I don't know who's spreading misinformation here, Patrushev or both. You know what I mean? So Patrushev has emerged as one of the leading voices in Putin's inner circle who wants to wage a merciless war in Ukraine. With the ultimate objective of capturing Kiev. That's false. They never said that. Maybe you know something, but so far she got like 3 strikes. How many more should I wait? According to Mark Gialotti, a British expert, another one, on Russia's security service, Patrushev is Putin's most right-wing ideologue and is referred to as the Hawk's hawk within Putin's inner circle. Just to remember, hawk thing is an American thing. In Romania, we don't talk about, he's a hawk of the hawk. Oh, he's a hawk. I don't think in Russia it's not, he's a hawk. Maybe he's a, I don't know, wolf or something. I never heard in other countries, a hawk's hawk. No, it's not referred to. You made it up. I don't think that's the case. But nevertheless, you're the expert. Here we go. Patrushev, unproven conspiracy theories. Okay. It is those close to Putin, such as Patrushev, who continue to repeat the disinformation that Ukraine is full of Nazis and that Russia needs to protect itself from the nefarious designs of the West. Well, the thing is not full of Nazis, but Azov battalion had some, and still has probably, I don't know if it's still alive or not, or it's the one that's captured in Azovstal. They had members who were sympathizers of Nazi ideology, and that Azov battalion was incorporated into the Ukrainian National Guard, and then in the that's part of the Ukrainian army. So they are part of that. So yeah, that's a connection over there. And there are some politicians who, if you bother to listen, Miss whatever your name is, you look even on YouTube. Even into YouTube, you find the truth coming from the horse's mouth or whatever. The politicians talking about that. Just check it out. So it's not full, but there are some. And they're in positions that are, how should I put it, not on the street with personal ideas, you know. They're, in this case, Azov battalion members are in the Ukrainian army. Imagine if that would be United States. Oh my God, that would be. All right. Patrushev is not shy about giving interviews. She said, I have read many of his interviews and essays, and they never disappoint in revealing his conspiracy way of thinking. Well, you can think what he says, but then you put that in the context. You have to know more than that. You have to know about this issue he's talking about. If you don't know anything about that issue, but know only about Russia, then obviously you can't compare and see if that's true or not. If you're incapable of accepting that NATO moved eastwards, like almost 2,000 kilometers from where it started, Germany, let's say, to let's say Kiev, or not Kiev, almost to the Russian borders, then yes, I don't think that's a conspiracy theory right there. And I'm using only that one. Don't have to use only that one, obviously. So on April 26, 2022, Patrushev gave an interview to the state Russian newspaper. He began with his favorite topic, the evil intentions of the West in general and the United States in particular. But Patrushev said that while other countries are intimidated by the US and, I'm quoting, can't even raise their heads, end quote, Russia has, I'm quoting, not only dared but publicly declared that it would not play by the imposed rules of the US. Okay, so where is that problem? Is she debating that? Is she disputing that? Indeed, the Russian government has been true to its word as evidenced by the brutal war, so she connects that with this. So the Russians' actions got their head up, is just attacking Ukraine, is nothing else. So this is a child mentality, and she's a lecturer. I will say that. I can characterize her because that's what it sounds here. During the interview, Patrushev talks about a made-up criminal community, I'm quoting, criminal community who fled Ukraine and who are now engaged in the widespread business of sale of orphans taken out of Ukraine, end quote. Well, I have no information on that. Meanwhile, the West, Patrushev says, and I'm quoting, has already revived the shadow market for the purchase of human organs from the socially vulnerable segments of Ukrainian population for clandestine transplant operations for European patients, end quote. I have no information on that. All right. It says the West, Patrushev continues, is giving support to Ukrainian neo-Nazis by continuing to support Ukraine with weapons, end quote. Well, the West supports a government that has some elements. You can make the connection. It doesn't have to be entirely owned by that ideology. Patrushev even quoted Putin, who called the West an empire of lies once sanctions had been imposed. Well, the West is not always truthful, miss. So what do you want me to say? And from his perspective, a lot of things are, how do you call it nowadays? In Patrushev words view, the West seeks to reduce, and I'm quoting, the world's population in various ways, end quote. That's not only in his views. There are many people who also believe that, true or not. Other people look at certain actions like that with all kind of sudden situations. I can't use it here. All right. The friendship of Putin and Patrushev. Putin and Patrushev have known each other since 1970. Both hail from Leningrad, now St. Petersburg, and work together in Leningrad KGB in different departments. Putin has said that he feels a camaraderie with Patrushev. You know, comradeship. There you go. Both men served in Boris Yeltsin government. In 1999, Yeltsin appointed Putin to lead the FSB, the KGB successor, and Patrushev became Putin's first deputy. Oh, deputy, right? Yes. When Yeltsin appointed Putin acting prime minister in August 9, 1999, Patrushev replaced Putin as the director of FSB. There you have them. In New Year's Eve in 1999, Yeltsin made the surprise announcement that Putin would replace him as acting president. Putin won the presidential election on March 26, 2000. So then they worked on the Chechen War and Second Chechen War in 1999-2009, and then he's one of his advisors. In an interview in 2000, Patrushev explained the independence of former FSB and SVR officials in the Kremlin, preponderance of former KGB officers or officials in Kremlin, the presidential administration in the outlying regions of the Russian Federation. Yeah, so this is the guy. It seems like appointed in 2008, Patrushev has become the longest-serving Secretary of the Security Council. Since then, the Council has changed a great deal from 1990s, when it was a sinecure for aging security forces veterans. Patrushev has turned it into a dynamic institutions for all matters relating to Russia's security, and has positioned himself as chief advisor. So yeah, this guy is the right guy to, in a dark hallway at Kremlin, do what other people did to Rudolf Hess in Spandau prison. Remember? The autopsy was, the marks were going too high, and he couldn't do that. But nevertheless, I suggest you read about that, Rudolf Hess and the Spandau suicide. His coffin was sealed and was provided to the family, sealed with the order that it was not open and just buried, closed casket. And the family did not listen to that, took it the same day to their own coroner, and they opened it, completed another autopsy, and they revealed something else. So there you have it with that. So I don't know, Putin might end up like some other people. So this is the guy. Now, if this is the guy who could do that, but it seems like he's even worse than the evil Putin. So good luck with that, Western countries. Now we know who this guy is. But by the way, I think this guy is, if you remember, it was a video of the Russian Security Council that they were voting to, proceed with special operation. And Putin was asking each and every council member to give his opinion, and he was asking, and he asked this guy, and this guy was shitting his pants to answer, and Putin said, be honest, say what you have to say right now, don't hold back. And the mass media said, oh, look how intimidated that guy was, and this is the guy. So I don't know what, but it's a very interesting video. Thank you for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and look for Patrushev. See ya.